The news has informed me multiple times this morning that Whoopi Goldberg is going on vacation. Well, maybe that's not what you heard. Maybe you heard something different, but in effect, that's what's happening. Whoopi Goldberg is going on a 2-week vacation. Not paid, but she can afford it. Not going to hurt her any. I'm 2 hours into my local morning news program this morning, and I've been told about Whoopi Goldberg's vacation at least 5 times. At least. Possible that I missed one or two because, got to go make breakfast and morning ablutions and all that sort of thing. But at least 5 times I've heard Whoopi Goldberg is going on vacation. Unscheduled and unwilling vacation, but she's going on vacation. There has yet to be a singular mention, not one, of Russia's rejection of the diplomatic note that it received yesterday, or the day before yesterday, talking about how their security considerations were being rejected. There has been no discussion of deployments of United States troops to Ukraine. Nothing. But boy, do we know about Whoopi Goldberg. Isn't that amazing? Whoopi Goldberg. Why do we know about Whoopi Goldberg? Well, that's the problem, isn't it? That's really what it comes down to. Whoopi Goldberg has been placed on extended vacation. They call it suspension for 2 weeks, but really it's a vacation. She's not going to have to do anything. She's not going to have to, and she can afford it, like I said. But in all of that, we're not talking about why. Oh, she said something offensive. I have seen at least a dozen conservative commentators this morning tell me that while they don't agree with Whoopi's comments, they don't like the censorship of it, but at the same time, there's a certain schadenfreude of seeing Whoopi Goldberg get the same treatment conservatives get. It's about time one of their own got treated that way. So that makes them happy, and there you go. But there's no discussion anywhere about why Whoopi Goldberg was having the conversation in which she said some really stupid things in the first place. Now, by now, you know that Whoopi Goldberg's comments were in context of the Holocaust, and she said that it was, quote, not about race. That's demonstrably wrong. I don't know that it's offensive. It's stupid. It's moronic. It's what I would expect of an actress and a talking head on The View. But it isn't necessarily something that I would put somebody on enforced vacation over. She made the claim because she was trying to equate, that's the presumption is that she was trying to equate white on white violence, which the Holocaust apparently was, as not equivalent to white on black violence. And this offended her, I guess, and so she was, I don't know why we're all hyper about the Holocaust, is kind of what she was implying, that it wasn't about race. Now look, I have a policy, which is I always let the people who were involved tell me what it was about. I'm so tired of historians, and I am one of them, not just revising history, but rewriting it. Any historian who says to me that the Civil War was not about slavery, I know they're not worth listening to because they don't know what they're talking about. Why do I know that? Invariably, they tell me it was about states' rights. It was not. If you go read the writings of the people who were actually there, go read the accounts of the secessionist congresses. It's only about one issue. The state right that they were whining about was the state right to own a human being. Slavery. They were afraid they were going to lose their slaves. That's it. That's all it was. When we look at the Holocaust, and we look at things like the Nuremberg laws and the process by which Nazi Germany commenced the Holocaust, through the Vanessa Conference and from the Nuremberg Laws to the Vanessa Conference and so forth and so on to the final solution, the Nazis make it very clear that it's about race. They consider non-Aryans to be a subhuman race, not human. Therefore, it's about race to them. In that aspect of it, Whoopi Goldberg's comments are completely ridiculous. They're wrong because it was about race to the people who were there. Whoopi Goldberg was not there. And so therefore, you have to defer to the people who were and say, okay, what was this really about? It's my rule. Her comment, as I said, was ignorant. It was stupid. It was, it was Whoopi Goldberg. What do you expect? She hasn't, I don't know. I know some people liked her in Star Trek. I don't care for Star Trek The Next Generation, so it's not that big a deal to me. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself a question. Why was she having this conversation in the first place? And of course, that's a bigger question, isn't it? The bigger question comes about this because the conversation was being held over an action taken in McMinn County, Tennessee. McMinn County, Tennessee is a southeastern corner county of great state of Tennessee, the volunteer state, where a school board took the action, a unanimous action, as I understand it, 10-0, to remove a book that was being used as a source material, study material for a course on the Holocaust for 8th graders. The name of the book is Mouse, and it is a graphic novel. It is a cartoon. It is it's not pictures. I mean, it is pictures, but they're cartoons, but not photographs. So you're dealing here with a book that is pictures, graphic representation of a man's conversation with his father about being a Holocaust survivor. And you can't discuss the Holocaust without being graphic. You just can't. I mean, sorry, you can't. They were concerned because the book contained, quote, rough language. What that means. It did. They said that it contained unnecessary profanity, and specifically 8 words, one of which was the word damn. I don't know what the other 7 were. Don't really care. It contains one nude woman drawn in the form of a mouse. One picture of a naked woman as a mouse. It's concerning because these are 8th graders, and here you go. There are mentions in the book of murder, violence, and even suicide. And there were questions about whether or not the book was, quote unquote, age appropriate. One of the school board members went so far as to point out that the man who wrote the book Mouse and drew the book Mouse had actually, at some point in his career, drawn cartoons for the magazine Playboy. This, of course, was the final straw. Can't have that. And so they removed the book from the course content, and this was portrayed by many in the media as banning the book. Now, to be clear about this, the book was not banned. I get that. But the book being banned was a step that the school board knew it could not take. You understand that? They understood that if they banned the book, they would be running afoul of First Amendment and 14th Amendment protections and those sorts of things. They knew that would not work. But removing it from the school curriculum is not quite the same thing, right? I mean, it's talking about 8th graders here, Dave. We've got to protect the 8th graders who are, Ben's in 6th grade, he's 11, so 13-year-olds, 13, 14-year-olds, from unnecessary profanity, rough language, one nude woman drawn as a mouse, and a guy who drew cartoons for Playboy at some point. Which I can honestly say to you, almost 60-year-old man, pretty much the only thing worth reading in Playboy was cartoons. There you go. The problem with this being able to say, well, we didn't ban it, we just removed it from the curriculum, is it becomes a sticking point for those of us on the right. Our counter argument to Whoopi Goldberg and to New York Times is, well, they didn't ban the book. You're putting out false news. The problem is that we are banning the book. Now, Maybe not in the strictest of senses, maybe not in the legalistic sense, but we are telling people what they should be doing. We don't want you to read this book, and so we're going to take it out of the curriculum. If you want it, you will have to go to the dirty bookstore. You will have to go online again. You will have to go somewhere else and read. We're not going to let you do that as part of the course. Now, if someone brought the book Mouse to school, do you think in McMinn, Tennessee, they would be okay with that? With this idea of telling people what they should be doing comes a certain level of expectation. It creates a certain level of, we want you to behave a certain way. And so we don't think you should be doing that. And with those expectations come behaviors. People begin to think in terms of, well, maybe there's something about this, but maybe it has a naked girl in it drawn as a mouse. Maybe I shouldn't look at it. Maybe the guy drew cartoons for Playboy, so I shouldn't look at it because, I don't know, I might go to hell or something. And so behavior follows that expectation that has been created. All while they stand there and go, hey, we didn't ban anything. We didn't tell you couldn't do it. This discussion over this McMinn County removal of this book is what set off the conversation on The View, which is where Whoopi Goldberg walked into her stupid comments. Okay, but we're not talking about any of the discussion over the book. All we're talking about is Whoopi Goldberg. Oh, yay, she got suspended for 2 weeks. She went on vacation for 2 weeks, folks. Don't think for a minute this is like you or I. If we got suspended for 2 weeks from our job, we'd be scrambling to pay the bills. Whoopi Goldberg is not. In point of fact, I don't follow her on social media, but I can almost bet you that you're going to see pictures of her on vacation in Cabo here pretty soon. Because she can do that. She's not being punished in any way, shape, or form. And as we saw in the headlines this morning, The View didn't even talk about it. Well, you all heard it. You saw the news. You know where she is. And in 2 weeks when she comes back, it isn't going to be the topic. It's not even going to be discussed. Yes, I know she had the guy from the ADL on yesterday talk about the Holocaust. But again, we're not addressing the real issue here, which is, why are we okay with censorship at all? I don't necessarily mean conservative censorship or liberal censorship. Why are we okay with any of it? Why are you celebrating that Whoopi Goldberg got suspended for saying something stupid? If we all got suspended every time we did something stupid, we'd never get anywhere. And let's not sugarcoat this. McMinnville County is a fairly conservative place. And we all just want to blow by the fact that they don't want 8th graders reading, and by extension other students reading, a book about the Holocaust because it contains eight words that we don't want to hear, including the word damn. Oh, and the guy drew cartoons for Playboy. And it has rough language. Well, said a bad word. For hell's bells, people. It's about one of the most inhumane events that ever occurred in human history. The dehumanization of people, which was about race because they didn't want them to be human. And instead of talking about that, we're talking about, well, Whoopi Goldberg got what she deserved. Follow me here. We are having an argument this week in my world about the tabernacle. I know that sounds weird. Some of you are going to go, well, what does it have to do with anything? Just stay with me here. We're so focused on what we want, what we think, that we miss the big picture. And this argument about why the tabernacle exists. I know, it sounds stupid. Does the tabernacle exist because God wants to dwell with his people, or does it exist because it was an atonement for the sin of the golden calf? Now, you may say to yourself, well, Dave, that's obvious. I already know the answer to that. Do you? Because let me tell you what, there's pages upon pages of people far smarter about it than you or I who disagree and can't make up their minds. They're so focused on the argument that they may be missing the big picture is kind of where I'm going with it. And in the same way with Whoopi Goldberg, we're so focused on well, I'm glad she got glad they finally hit a liberal with this. But we're missing the whole point. Follow me. The entire conversation that she was having was over the idea that a book was being censored. Okay, maybe it wasn't banned, but it was certainly being censored. We were certainly saying to 8th graders in McMinn County, Tennessee, we don't think you should read that. And so we're going to make it difficult for you to read that. An entertainer, someone whose opinion about anything shouldn't matter to us, has a bad take on the idea and says that bad idea out loud. With me here? People get upset about her opinion about the issue, but not about the issue in the first place. She dared to criticize a sacred idea. You don't criticize the Holocaust. I get it. I understand that. But not the idea that started the discussion in the first place. She didn't even talk about the fact that McMinn County, Tennessee is banning this book or censoring this book. No, she went right to, well, the Holocaust wasn't about race anyway. The whole conversation should have been about the censorship of a book or an idea about the Holocaust. That's what it should have been, but it wasn't. And our solution to this entire thing, entirety of everything that's going on here, our solution is to censor the person with a bad opinion and not even talk about the actual censorship that's going on. We're just going to ignore that because, why would we talk about that? We can all celebrate the fact that Whoopi Goldberg is on vacation.